Learning to play the piano is a combination of two different types of skills. You've got the cognitive skills, so your ability to understand music, and you've got your motor skills, so your ability to actually physically play the instrument. And it can be quite a frustrating process learning the piano when you understand something, but your hands just don't want to do what you want them to do. So in today's video, I'm going to give you 7 exercises that will help to start getting your hands to listen to you. And I have also written all of these exercises out for you, which you can download for free with the link in the description. So let's get into it. So the first exercise is going to help you control runs of notes in your right hand. And the best way of learning to do this is usually by using scales. So this exercise is essentially using scales, but in a more musical way. And this is how it sounds. Now, for all of these exercises, they are only 4 bars long, but you can repeat them over and over again. And by the time you get to the 7th exercise, you are actually able to link all 7 exercises together to turn it into a full piece of music. But this exercise is essentially based around a C minor scale. Now, the notes that are in a C minor scale are the notes C, D, E flat, F, G, A flat, and B flat before you get back to another C. And so we're starting at the top on a C and we're playing down that scale. So C, B flat, A flat, G, F, then putting a third finger over to play an E flat. We're missing out the D to play a C. And then we're essentially going up the scale again, up to our little finger. So C, D, E flat, F, G, and then back down again. And then for the last note, we're putting our 4th finger over to play a B flat in order to be able to start the pattern again an octave lower. So that takes care of the first 2 bars where you're playing that pattern going down an octave at a time. And then we have 2 bars that go back up again. So in this case, we play the notes C, D, E flat, thumb under for F, G, A flat, and then we skip the B flat in order to play a C at the top. Then we go down 5 notes, and then back up 5 notes, making sure to put a thumb on the C to play a D with finger 2 as our final note. Now, for the 4th bar of this exercise, we actually swap out all of the B flats for B naturals instead, but you get the same pattern. So C, D, E flat, F, G, A flat, skip the B, C, but when you come back down, you've got to play B natural, A flat, G, F, G, A flat, B natural again, and then C. Now, in the left hand, we have a C and a G, and then for the 2nd bar, we just move our G up to an A flat. And then for the 3rd bar, we move down to an A flat and an F. And for the 4th bar, we just drop the bottom note to a G. So we get G and F. So altogether, that would be... This entire exercise uses the normal fingers that you would use for a C minor scale and for lots of other scales, so it's going to get you used to using the right fingers, playing scales, but in a more fun and practical way. So that takes us on to exercise number 2, and exercise number 2 is about controlling runs of notes in your left hand. And this is essentially doing exactly the same thing, but in reverse. So this time, your left hand is going to be doing all the work, and your right hand is going to be playing chords. So for this, in the left hand, we're going to start down here on a C, and we're going to play the notes that we played when we were going up in the right hand. So C, D, E flat, F, G, A flat, missing out the B flat, C, and then down 5 notes, up 5 notes, and then 4th finger over to play a D in order to leave your little finger to start the pattern again. And on the way down again, we also get the same pattern. So we're going C, B flat, A flat, thumb under for G, F, E flat, skipping the D to play a C, and then up 5 notes, down 5 notes, putting a thumb on C to leave your 2nd finger for the B flat, and then that leaves your thumb available to start the pattern again. And in the same way that we did in the first exercise, in the last quarter of this exercise, we're going to use B naturals instead of B flats. So we play C, B natural instead of B flat, then A flat, thumb under for G, down to F, E flat, skipping the D, playing a C, up 5 notes, and down 5 notes. So the pattern is actually very, very similar to the right hand version of this exercise. And in the right hand for this exercise, we're going to play a C minor chord, so the notes C, E flat and G. And then for the second bar, we're just going to move the top note up to an A flat, which makes an A flat major chord. And then for the third chord, we're just going to move the middle note from an E flat to an F, which makes an F minor chord. And then finally, we're going to move the top note and the bottom note down. So we've got B, F, and G, which gives us a G7 chord. Now the third exercise and technique is all about playing flourishes on the piano, and the way to do that is using something called arpeggios. And an arpeggio is essentially a chord that you break up into its individual notes. And then you can play that up and down the piano. And so for exercise number 3, this is what we're going to be practicing in the right hand. So for this, we're going to take a C minor chord, so C, E flat and G, but we're going to play a C at the top. So we're essentially going to play C, G, E flat, C. And then we're going to put our third finger over to play G, E flat, C again, and then again, G, E flat, C. And then we're going to go back up. E flat, G, thumb under for C, E flat, G, thumb under for C. And that takes care of the first bar. Now for the second bar, we're going to play an A flat major chord, but we're going to keep the C at the top, which means we don't have to move very much from the C minor shape that we were just playing. All we have to do is swap the G for an A flat. So we're going to play C, A flat, E flat, C, and then we're just going to repeat that. A flat, E flat, C, A flat, E flat, C, and then go back up again. E flat, A flat, C, E flat, A flat, C. Now the important thing here is to put a fourth finger on the A flat, rather than a third finger like you did for the C minor chord. Now, bar number 3 is an F minor chord, but once again, we're going to keep the C at the top. And an F minor chord is just the notes F, A flat, and C. So we get C, A flat, F, C, A flat, F, C, A flat, F, C. And then back up, F, A flat, C, F, A flat, C. And then for the final bar, we're going to play a G major chord. So this time, we're going to drop the top note to a B, and we're going to play the notes from a G major chord, which are G, B, and D. So we've got B, G, D, B, G, D, B, G, D, B, and then back up, D, G, B, D, G, B, D, G, B. And in the left hand, we're going to play exactly what we played for the first exercise, which was the notes C and G, and then C and A flat, then A flat and F, and then G and F. So together, that would sound like this. And once again, these arpeggio shapes, so we're using fingers 5, 3, 2, and 1, or 5, 4, 2, and 1, are very, very common for all flourishes and arpeggios that you will see across lots of different styles of music, so it's very useful to learn. And that takes us on to exercise number 4, which, as you may be able to guess, is a similar concept, but using the left hand. And this I refer to as left hand padding. And the reason for this is because when you play arpeggios in the right hand, a lot of the time you're doing it for decorative reasons or to make something sound really impressive. Whereas when you do the same thing in the left hand, a lot of the time it's just filling out the texture on the piano and padding out the sound. So it's arguably used a lot more in the left hand than it is in the right hand. And more specifically, with this pattern, we're going to play the first set of notes without the middle note of the chord. So for example, a C minor chord is the notes C, E flat, and G. We're actually going to play C, G, C as the first 3 notes of this arpeggio, so missing out that E flat. And that's just because that is quite a common pattern that's used throughout a lot of styles of music. So we're going to get fingers 5, 2, 1 on C, G, C, and then a third finger over to play E flat. So E flat, G, C, E flat, G, C, and then back down again. And then on the bottom octave, once again, we'll just miss out that E flat to start the next chord. So that would be C, G, C, E flat, G, C, E flat, G, C, and then back down. And then the second chord, we're going to do the same thing, but this time we're going to play C, A flat, C, E flat, A flat, C, E flat, A flat, C, and back down again. So once again, missing out that E flat on that bottom octave. And then for the third chord, the same thing, but for F minor. So C, A flat, C, F, A flat, C, F, A flat, C, and back down. And then for the fourth chord, we're going to do the same thing for G major. So B, G, B. Fourth finger over for D, G, B, D, G, B. And back down again. Missing out the D in that final octave. And in the right hand for this exercise, we're going to play exactly what we played for exercise 2. So a C minor chord, C, E flat, G, followed by an A flat chord, C, E flat, A flat, followed by an F minor chord, C, F, A flat, followed by a G7 chord, so B, F, and G. And that would sound something like this. So that's 4 exercises that can get your hands used to using patterns that come up all the time in music, and that's scales and arpeggios. But a lot of the time, when you are learning the piano, technical issues come up because you've got weak fingers. And oftentimes, that is actually your 5th and your 4th fingers, because they are the least strong out of all 5 fingers that you have, assuming you have 10 fingers. So exercise 5 is aimed at controlling your right hand weaker fingers. And once again, in the left hand, similar to exercise 1 and 3, we're going to be playing a very similar but slightly altered pattern. So we're going to be playing a C and a G. The top note's going to move up to a C and an A flat. Then the top note's going to move up again to a C and an A. And then the top note will move up one more time to a C and a B flat. And in the right hand, what we're going to do is we're going to play a C minor chord, which is a C, E flat, and a G. But we're going to play the top note and then the bottom note. And then we're going to play a kind of melodic idea based around alternating notes. So we're going to play G, C, F, C, E flat, C, F, C, G, C. So we're kind of going G, F, E flat, F, G, but we're putting a C in between all of those. And then we're going to finish it off with another E flat, F, C. So the melody would be G, F, E flat, F, G, E flat, F, G, with the C's in between. And with the left hand. Now, for the next chord, we're essentially going to move the melody line up one note. So we're going to play A flat, G, F, G, A flat, F, G, A flat. But still with those C's in the middle. So then for the third chord, we're going to move the A flat just to an A natural, but do the same thing again. And then for the final chord, we're just going to move those notes up one note. So we're going to get B flat, A, G, A, B flat, G, A, B flat, with C's in the middle. So all 4 of those bars together would sound like this. Now, the key to this one is to try and keep your wrist as loose as possible, because if your wrist locks up, then it's going to get tense and it's going to be very hard to play and can cause issues further down the line. So play it very, very slowly and concentrate on rocking your hand for each of those movements from C and back to the melody note. Now, as you once again may be able to guess, exercise number 6 is all about controlling the weak fingers in your left hand and follows a very similar pattern. So in the right hand, once again, we have a C minor chord, which is C, E flat, and G. We then move the G up to an A flat to play an A flat chord, C, E flat, and A flat. But this time, we go to C, F, and A, which is an F chord. And then the last chord is C, G, and B flat. So we're just moving those top notes up one more time. And in the left hand, we're doing a very similar pattern, but this time the C is at the top rather than at the bottom like it was in the right hand. So we're going to play the melody, which will be G, F, E flat, F, G, E flat, F, G, but we're going to put a C in the thumb. Then we're going to move it up a note like we did before. So A flat, G, F, G, A flat, F, G, A flat. And then we're going to move the A flat to an A natural. And then we're going to move all those notes up one more to B flat, A, G, A, B flat, G, A, B flat. Together, that would sound like this. Both of these exercises together will really help your weaker fingers, and therefore when you come to play a piece, if there's anything that's awkward in that piece that requires your little finger and your fourth finger, it will feel a lot easier to play. And the seventh and final exercise is all about splitting your focus, which is one of the most difficult things to do when you're playing the piano. And the reason that you might need to split your focus is if you are doing two difficult things on the piano at the same time in both of your hands. Normally, if you have something difficult to play on the piano, you can put all of your focus into that difficult thing, while all of the other things that are happening around it are relatively straightforward, and you can kind of rely on your muscle memory. But if you have two things happening at the same time in both of your hands, which both require your attention, that can be quite a difficult thing to do. So for the seventh exercise, we're actually going to combine two of the ideas from the previous 6 exercises, and that is playing arpeggios in your right hand and playing the pattern for your weak 4th and 5th fingers in your left hand. So both hands are going to be doing something that requires your focus. Left hand is playing a melody and you're using weak fingers, but your right hand is moving around quite a lot on the piano, so you've got to try and be accurate. So for this exercise, we're going to play the same exact pattern for the right hand that we played before, which is C, G, E flat C, G, E flat C, G, E flat C, and then back up. And then to A flat, so C, A flat, E flat C, A flat, E flat C, A flat, E flat C, and back up. But this time we're going to go to C, A, F, C, which is an F major chord. So C, A, F, C, A, F, C, A, F, C, and back up. And then to C, B flat, G, C, B flat, G, C, B flat, G, C, and back up. So the actual chords that we're using do change a little bit in the same way they changed in the last exercise. And in the left hand, we're going to be playing exactly the same pattern as before, but this time an octave lower. So G, F, E flat, F, G, E flat, F, G, but with C's in between. And then A flat, G, F, G, A flat, F, G, A flat with C's in between. And then with A naturals instead. And then up a note for B flat, A, G, A, B flat, G, A, B flat. So together that will sound like this. So there you go, there's 7 exercises that can transform your ability to play the piano. And the link for all my hard work is in the description for free. What I would say is that using technical exercises is a great way of starting a practice session, because it can get your fingers warmed up and you can practice certain techniques. But you want to focus on actually building up good technique, which means not trying to play it at 500 miles an hour straight away, and really focusing on being relaxed, staying in control, and playing it at a nice slow speed until it feels really comfortable. So I would suggest starting learning these very, very slowly and just learn them one at a time. And then eventually you can speed them up and you can link them all together in order to give you a really comprehensive warm-up that includes lots of different techniques. But alongside technical exercises, obviously you might want some pieces to learn. And if you are an absolute beginner, then I made a video that gives you 15 pieces that you can learn. So if you are interested in that, head on through and I will see you there.